done, John. Thank you so much. What none of you realise, but those of us who are on the desk know, is that John's worship set got changed halfway through. Because two of the songs didn't play, and he stayed calm. He stayed here, led us further into God's presence. Isn't that cool? Well done. The Lord's really been speaking, and actually, I want to come back to the word that John just gave us, and that will be where we finish. Just to break the mood with my excellent jokes. You know, I know how much you all appreciate that. Be quiet. Swallowed some Scrabble letters. I've had constant vowel movements ever since. Wait for it. Wait for it. There's more. There's more. The next trip to the bathroom could spell disaster. Do you know, I can't stand those Russian doll things. You know those Russian dolls? They're so full of themselves, aren't they? Right, anyway, I think, I keep saying this actually, I think this is the last time I'm going to do the theme that we've been sort of following, or I've been following on and off, more off than on, obviously in the last year with the big gap and everything else. And then at the start of the year, I was talking about something else. This theme that we've been coming back to about recognizing, acknowledging, and going deeper into the presence of God. We talk about wanting to be a presence-centered church. That if he doesn't turn up, there's no point us turning up. Because we're here to meet him. I mean, it's wonderful to meet each other. We want to build fellowship. We build connection and everything else. But especially on these Sundays, well, I mean, that doesn't work, does it? We need his presence on every Sunday. When we're out on the streets, we need his presence. When we're doing something, doing an in, and it's for us, and it's about building up our connections and our relationships, we need him. So if you remember, I started, and it must have been more than a year ago, because I remember doing that talk in here and having a picture of the Yorkshire Dales and telling you and of Northumberland, and saying to you there are thin places. There are places you go where it just feels easier. I think it wasn't long after we'd got back from a stint in Redding, California, and again, that's somewhere where as soon as we get into the town, partly because it's not our atmosphere, it's theirs, it just feels easier. And when we go to Northumberland and we go particularly when we go onto Holy Island, almost the moment my feet hit the ground, and I'm not a great centre of atmospheres. Liz is much better at this than I am, much better. But even I can feel a sense of like, it's just easier. But saying, that's what we want Bradford to be. Historically, that's what Bradford was. You came to Bradford to encounter the presence and power and healing of God, because you came to Wigglesworth meetings and you got healed. You went expecting to meet the presence and power of God. That's not what Bradford's known for now, but wouldn't it be wonderful? And isn't that what we want? And then, yes, we want that for Huddersfield and Halifax and Leeds and everywhere else as well. We talk about that being like, wanting an open heaven, wanting a thin place. And I guess some of the reason why I've been doing these talks is to encourage us all. We can be a thin place. I wish. we can have over our own lives, we can take the attitude that says, I want to be a thin place. I want to be somewhere where it's easy for you to come. Where actually, it's easy for you to come because you never went. Wouldn't that be better still? I remember Bill Johnson telling a story about Jen Johnson, the worship leader. And she was talking about the difficulty of getting, she said, I was having a whole other hassle with the kids. And she said, I need to put my worship hat back on. And Bill, gently as he always does, said, well, there's the problem. You should have never have taken it off. If you're not worshipping when you're with your kids, then what's going on? It's a very real question, isn't it? Anyway, so we started this idea of looking at the presence of God and saying that he comes to us in all sorts of different ways. Just as we were worshipping now, we had that sense of peace, that sense when time just seems to slow down a little bit. And sometimes, obviously, in all of that, we feel physical things. Sometimes you'll just feel a sense of being less hurried, being calmer. You might feel hot, you might feel cold, you might feel tingles. It might be that simply your head stops spinning for a few moments. There are all sorts of ways that we sense him. Sometimes we get really creative, inventive ideas in our head, and we know they don't come from us. that's sometimes can be really easy to tell because you're like, I'm not that clever. I'm good, but I'm not that good. That idea isn't mine, that's his. And you know it. And we encounter him in worship, we encounter him in each other, and we encounter him from the Bible. I did a session saying to you, if you want more of God's presence, read the Bible. Be like Deborah. Deborah's got a better biblical knowledge than I have. I think you have. In terms of knowing chapters and verses, Deborah's better than me. She is. I know deep but in terms of being able to say where's that from, Deborah's more likely to get it right than I am. She's amazing for that. Isn't that wonderful? What a way of being able to encounter God. I'm not saying I don't know the Bible. I do know a lot of the Bible and I know it well. But I think if you want to know chapter and verse, ask Deborah. She's better at it. Isn't that something to be wonderful? Isn't that a blessing to have in our family? That when you go, she's able to complete the verse like that. What would it be like if we were all like that? Be able to go deeper. His presence leads like it did the Israelites through the desert. I'm a bit disappointed this morning because we were expecting the kids to be back with us. And I had this fantastic activity for them. Really good activity. Because remember when the people were in the desert, it was a cloud in the day and a pillar of fire at night. So we have, Wendy, can you just throw that right behind you on the floor? On the floor. Yeah. I was going to do a pillow of cloud. Did you like that? A pillow. I thought that was funny. We had the fire as well. We had a candle. We had a column of fire. I had both ready, and I said when Bex came in, I was like, I've got this great kids talk, and they're not here to do it with. And I thought of that about 9:30 this morning, so I was so keen to do it. Anyway, his presence comes to lead, to make certain we're in the right place at the right time. That's not always convenient. It wasn't convenient for the Israelites. They had to pack up the tent, which was the tabernacle, which was a lot of work. It was a big thing. Remember, that was when we were here. I showed you the picture. But how complicated is that? And sometimes they were only there for a day. They must have thought, oh, come on, give us a break. And sometimes they were there for quite a bit longer. But it said, when the column moved, they moved. Wherever it went, they went. Isn't that a great phrase for living? Wherever he goes, I want to go. Go on. All the cleaning, yes, all the tidying up. Yeah. His presence provides like it did in the Garden of Eden. That's another story that we looked at. He comes to provide and be with Adam and Eve. His presence changes us like it did for the disciples, especially Peter and John. Remember, we looked at that, and one of the Judean leaders said, we can tell that these people have been with Jesus. It's like, wow, wouldn't that be amazing? And he looked at us and said, I can tell you're a Christian. I know that you've just been with Jesus. Wouldn't that be like? And if you are like, I don't know what you're talking about, Stuart, I missed those talks. They are on our podcast for church. Or you can come and ask me questions and I can probably remember most of what I said. Probably not all of it, because sometimes it comes in the inspiration of the Spirit. And I think that was a good idea. And I look at my notes and think, yeah, that certainly wasn't me. Last time we did something a bit more practical, which I think in common language nowadays is called a life hack. You know what life hacks are? They're meant to be like simple little things that you can put into your way of living that give you a boost. Often they seem to be about diet things. There's a life hack to eat, I don't know, compressed grass mixed with something weird and wonderful. Some of them are like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. Anyway, but you have a life. Bexy's smiling at my absolutely yes, Father. You trying to explain life hacks is just so amusing. Anyway, so there are life hacks, things that we do that just sort of give us a little shortcut. And I said, one of the things we need to get better at is giving longer to linger. I.e., wait, don't hurry. Talked about how in worship that can be a real thing, because when you're at the front, 10 seconds feels like about 3 hours. And you're stood saying, I'm going to give chance for people to respond. I mean, it's so hard not to look at your watch and think, we've been doing this for hours and nobody said anything. Learning to wait. Give him longer. But I want to, this morning, give what I hope is another really practical life hack. Something that we can build into ourselves. And I want to try and give you some practical things, because I think for all of us, actually, this is probably an issue. But if you're anything like me, then you need prayer. Because I have an attention span of about 3 nanoseconds. I have a grasshopper mind that jumps from thing to thing to thing. So what we're going to talk about this morning, I hope we'll try and make some of that practical. And I know I need it because this is something I struggle with a lot, actually, and I'm going to share that with you in a bit, and we'll do some practical stuff. But as ever, let's start with the Bible. So guess what? Gather yourselves into groups. Probably if one of you from over here could come over here, that might even it up a little bit. And there will be some Bible verses on the screen any moment, hopefully. Yeah, no problem. Grab a Bible. As ever, this isn't some comprehension test. Don't be embarrassed. If the answer is I don't know or I don't get it. And now let's all pray that I've got the right Bible verses, because it's always fun when I give you the wrong ones. Have a look. What happens and what's the connection? So look at those two sets of verses. You can gather up so you look like you like each other. Have a look at those. I almost don't want to stop you because I'm hearing some really great comments between you all, which is really helpful. But yeah, okay. Let's just do the what happened in the story, so we make sure we're all talking about the same thing. Somebody over here, tell me what happened in the first bit, in the Exodus bit. Colin, you've been volunteered. Is that all right? You're all right with that?
Especially just listening.
That's great. So remember, they'd left. Hang on. Oh no, that's why I was going to use this one. Yeah, they've been wandering they'd left Egypt. They've gone through the Red Sea. They've had the plagues and everything like that. They've been pursued by Pharaoh, and then they are wandering around in sin. I don't mean doing things wrong. They were in an area called Sin that took its name from Sinai, the Mount Sinai. So yes, they're wandering around and they're moaning, aren't they? Yes, they're moaning. Oh, I'm going up. And Lord God says, right, I'll provide for you. But what he provides is for that day. Unless it's Friday, and then they get 2 lots for the Sabbath. And you hear manna. Well, the word manna just means what's that? It's Hebrew for what's that? That's what it's called, because they're like, oh, what is it? Didn't know what it was. Cool. Okay, so the others, you've all got into a line. Scaring me. Come on, what happens in the next story? Oh, Heather, you're being volunteered.
Yeah, don't worry about tomorrow, basically.
Jesus is teaching the disciples, actually, we're told. He sits down and talks to the disciples, and lots of other people listen and join in to what he's saying. And we've had what you call the Beatitudes, the happies. Blessed are those. Blessed just means happy. Which I can turn this one back on and put that down now, can't I? 2, you can hear me. And then it moves on to this bit where we've just had some stuff about being salt and light. He's done the Lord's Prayer, because this is what they call the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew. And then he comes to this dealing with today. I love the bit at the end. Today's got enough troubles. What are you doing? Don't worry about tomorrow. You've got enough to do to get through today. Because frankly, there are days, and that's how it feels, isn't it? If I can just get through today, I'd be pleased, sort of thing. If I can just get to the end of today, that'd be pleased. I set myself a whole load of stuff to do on Friday to finish off Unit 3 of my present-centered Bible stuff that I'm doing now. And I was like, oh, I really want to get that done. I really want to get it done. But I also need to write a sermon, and I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this. And at 5:30, I turned off the computer, and I was done. I was like, oh, come on, get in. That was such a great feeling. And then I remembered I hadn't done something. I thought, oh, never mind. But anyway, what's the connection then? What was the connection? Sorry? Trust. Yes, faith, trust. But for what, though? Provision, yes, but for when? For today. For today. Jesus says, live in today. He knows what you need today. The manna is provided for today. For now. What's that got to do with his presence, I ask you? One of the main challenges that I think we face, one of the main challenges that actually is causing very poor mental health to be spread everywhere, and indeed physical illness that's connected to that as well, is how impossible it is nowadays to be here now. Not there then. It is so difficult to stay in the present and not think about what you think you just said wrong 5 minutes ago or what you're going to have to do. How many of us are sat even this morning thinking, I've got this to do this afternoon, I've got this to do this afternoon. Did I put the timer on for the oven? When I need to get that done so that I can, and we're off for the races, aren't we? Off we go. We're not actually present. If you want more presence, be more present. Being present allows presence to come. We have so many things that can distract us. And then we have the wonderful, endless stream of interruptions coming from you fill in the blank, Apple Messenger, WhatsApp, whatever it is, beeping every blooming other second to distract you. Isn't it often like that? I mean, I've now put, apart from Liz and my children, all my other WhatsApp groups are on silent. I'm just so fed up with it beeping at me and distracting me. How many of us are sat watching something on TV and we miss the main plot point because we're double screening? We're looking at the phone. I've seen couples in cafes, presumably they're doing it to have some time together, and they're both sat like this, looking at their phones. They're not even making eye contact with each other. So difficult, isn't it? How many of us have been dragged from the here and now to the there and then by the latest message that appears on our phone? Let alone, I'm like, I've got enough stuff going on inside my head. I don't actually need anything else to distract me. I can distract myself in microseconds. I am literally, squirrel, wah, off, gone. So hard. And yet Jesus says, stay in today. The Lord God provides for today. Why are you worrying about tomorrow or even yesterday? Be here now. When we just dash, when we rush through the day thinking about the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, what we're actually doing is missing the chance to invite God into that exact moment. Remember, God is omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. He knows everything, he is everywhere, and he's above all time. Okay, apply that to this. He can bring the wisdom of eternity, the entire resources of the universe to you at that moment in time. He is everything, everywhere, all at once. He can be with you in that moment. If you give him time to do it. And if you are not thinking so much about the next thing, you're not actually asking him to help you with this thing. It's like somebody driving through the Dales at 70 miles an hour and never noticing the golden hour sunshine on the side of the hills. Or the lamb playing in the field as there will be in a few weeks' time. Guess who's desperate for a day out in the Dales? But you see it, don't you? I see some people ripping through the lanes. And I'm like, slow down. At this very moment, if you just looked right, you would see something that would take your breath away. If you would simply stop long enough and not think about what time you need to arrive there, but be here now. We all do it, don't we? I'll admit something to you. Oh no. It's so hard for me on a Sunday morning to even have one conversation, one face-to-face conversation with one of you, because it's so hard as the church leader not to be looking around the room thinking, I need to speak to that person before they go, and I just want to check that with that person, and I need some, and I'm trying to look at you and talk to you, and all the time my head's thinking, have they gone yet? It's really hard. Am I the only one? How rude is that? It's really rude, isn't it? And yet I still do it. And we all know that we do it because you can see it in somebody else's eyes, can't you? You can see when they look away. I heard Rob saying something about, is it bad to plan financially and everything? It's not bad to plan. What's bad is to let the plans rule every minute of your life. Have I done enough of it? Have I got enough in my pension pot? It's not good to it's good to have prepared, but the point of preparation is to be able to leave it at peace. You don't go back and rub at it and pick at it. But it's the same thing. But if we slowed, paused, stopped, we could invite his presence into our present. And the God who says, I will provide for today, will provide for now. Think what that would mean. In the middle of that difficult conversation with your employer, in that stressful situation at work or whatever else it might be, if you simply pause and be, Lord, I need you here now. I am going to turn away for a beat and ask you to be, I'm going to be present with you so you can bring your presence to me. Not the same as waiting. The connection, certainly. Waiting is about giving him long enough because he's never in a hurry. He's got literally all the time in the universe. Being present is about giving enough of us for him to land on. Because often what we do is we're only giving a fraction of our concentration to that moment. It's like trying to land a helicopter on a particular blade of grass. It's like getting a big piece of toast and spreading a tiny amount of butter over it so that each little bit gets so little of the butter you can't taste it. We spread ourselves so thin that we don't allow anything to permeate the moment because we're off there thinking about that. At the very moment I was writing this, this happened. Most, I think all of you know, it's not very far from where I was sat typing this on Friday afternoon to our front door, is it? What do you walk it in, 3 seconds? 4 seconds, something like that? So I'm typing that about remembering this, and the doorbell went. And by the time I walked the 4 seconds to get to the doorbell, the Amazon driver who was there to deliver something had gone to my next door neighbour to try and give them their parcel, and then spent the next 10 seconds, because he had about 5 or 6 parcels in his hands, getting totally confused. He gave me Phil and Jane's, he gave Phil and Jane mine. And then he had to spend the time swapping them back over to get them to the right people. Talk about less haste, more speed. They are, and I feel really, really sorry for them. But it was, if you just leave that up, picture up, yeah. I was like, he said to him, thank you for my illustration for Sunday morning. And by the way, slow down. He tied himself up in knots because in that moment, he was thinking about the next delivery and the next delivery, and he was there ringing the doorbell. And then Jane came to the door, our wonderful next door neighbour who often texts him our parcels and all sorts of stuff. And we both looked at each other to say, what are you doing, man? And I understand he was trying to get ahead, and I know you're absolutely right, Deborah. They're on enormous schedules. When they give you something, smile at them. Make eye contact, because often I would not be a delivery driver for all the tea in China. Wow, think how grumpy we get when people... Anyway, that's not enough. So how do we get better at being in the moment and staying in the moment? And I want to try and finish with giving you some really practical stuff. Because because I find this incredibly difficult. I have a mind like a grasshopper. It leaps from thing to thing. Ask any of my family. They say sometimes keeping up in conversation with me can be such hard work because I've leapt 5 things further on. I'm sure it must be really frustrating for them. Let's try and give some practical stuff. Okay? I'm going to say this quite a lot. This is some of the stuff that I've worked out how to do. I stop, and whenever I want to be present, I do a breathing exercise. I'm going to breathe in deeply for 4, and I'm going to breathe out. And each breath I'm going to hold in for 5 seconds. I'm going to breathe out for 5 seconds. You can get things on your watch. And actually, phones can be useful. You can get a breathing exercise you can put on your watch, on your phone rather. And it gets bigger as you're meant to breathe in, and then it goes in as you're meant to breathe out. And actually, it makes you focus and be there in that moment. And I use breathing exercises when I really want to, I've got to just stop going off everywhere, Stuart. Just sit still. I do a breathing exercise. Wendy said something this morning. Phones are wonderful. Keep us in contact. I love the fact that I can know what's going on with my family, and even on the other side of the world. When we were in New Zealand last year or year before now, we could still know what was going on with our family. Amazing connection devices. How people went on and were missionaries and never heard from their families for 6 months. Just wow, what a sacrifice that must have been. But they are the most distracting things in the universe. Put them in another room. If you want to be like, I want to be present here and I want to meet your presence, turn it off. Wendy says when she goes to bed, she leaves it downstairs. What a great plan. Or do what I do, lose it. I've lost it this morning. I don't actually know where my phone is at the moment. That wasn't a deliberate illustration. And I have a thing on my phone that lets me find it because I lose it that often. And there are some times when I'm like, do you know what? I don't care that I've lost it. Actually, really nice not to have it with me, not to have it on me. I'm meant to control it, and so often it controls me. Leave it behind. Turn it off. Of course, there are times when you're on call or you're at work and you can't. But there's plenty of times when you can. The other night, we were going to sit and watch something. It was the last night, The Night Manager. Really good. Not been watching. Cool. Anyway, and I had my phone near me, and I didn't do it, and I should have done. I thought to myself, get up and put it on the charging stand so that you haven't got it. I mean, partly you needed charging anyway. And I didn't. And Liz said to me about halfway through, are you watching this or on your phone? One thing I rely on, if I want to sit down and be really present, I make certain I've got a notepad near me. So as soon as something comes into my head, I write it down to get it out of my head. Because otherwise, I'll spin, gone. I have a notepad near me, and I keep it near me so that I can write things down and get them out of my head, because I want to be here and now, not there and then. It's so easy to do that. When you get that thought chain in your head, I actually, literally, in my mind, I make myself say, no, I am not going to think about that. And then I count to 10 in my head. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, deliberately going slowly to make myself come back to this moment. I use, and I rely upon these things actually. Anybody know what a grounding object is? Really? Grounding object? Okay. You can use what you call grounding objects. Things that you have in your hand that it just gives you something to hold on to keep you here. And I've got a marble, but I just want to run something through my fingers. And you can use it with other people to be about if they're getting stuck in a memory loop. You say find something that reminds you of a good memory loop, and so I actually in my room as well I have a stone from Burnsall from the riverbank, because I can feel the stone and I know where it's from, and it makes me connect to somewhere where I always find God's peace and presence. And that's so I have a marble, I have a little blue crystal. That Mary, from school, we were in Romania. We're going back in February to represent the church, and it's going to be cool. But she was giving these out, and I kept one on purpose. And I quite often have it in my trouser pocket. Because when I get that thought of like, I'm not doing very well today, I'm like, I'm precious. I'm valuable. And it has quite sharp edges, and I quite like that. Sometimes it's good to have something smooth that you can run between your fingers. But sometimes something a bit more hard and edgy, it cuts in a little bit, and it makes me be here. I have one of these. Fidget spinner. At one point I had 3 of them on my desk, lined up. But it especially if I'm on a Zoom call, if you're on a Zoom call with me and you hear a little whirring noise, probably this. Because I find it really hard to sit still. I do, I'm being really honest with you. And these practical things really, really help me. This is like she's finally admitting to his addictions. Anyway, yeah, I probably am. Yes. Well, I think you've diagnosed me, but anyway. Go on, Paul. Yeah. Yeah. Just having something that because you have to spin it and keep it spinning, it makes me think about now. And I just find it really helpful. I find it helpful to have something to run between my fingers. I'm not suggesting I'm a Catholic with a rosary, but actually, they were probably onto something. Don't dismiss our Christian brothers with their 2,000 years of training young people to follow Jesus. They know what they're doing. And being able to do something. I just find this really helpful. Just some stuff that I can just... I'm a fiddler. If I control what I fiddle, it means I stay in the moment. When I'm really struggling, then I'm having a period where I'm being a bit impatient. I told you this before. I will often make myself be at Tesco's or wherever it is, and I choose the longest queue. And I make myself stand there. While the person in front of me apparently plays in half pennies from 1947. Like, what? Did I say this? God, there's more. No, there's more men than women. I can get away with it. Okay. Why do ladies never have the card out to pay? Why do you always keep it in your purse at the bottom of your bag so when you get to the till, they have to open up the bag, get the... I'm there with my card. I'm ready. I'm done. Well, I should stand behind you in the queue. Anyway, the point is, I make myself apply a discipline. And I stand there and I make myself pray for every person in front of me. And bless every person in front of me. Even the one who's playing with flobble beads and taking 27 minutes to buy one pot of yogurt. Not that I find that frustrating at all. Make myself stand there. Make myself be that. And I know I'm going to be a bit more African and a little bit less European. Because in an African culture, being now with somebody is far more important about being there with somebody else. Are you late? Who? What? It's better to be present in that moment. Before you start the next job, the next thing you're going to do, just stop and ask him to be with you. You're going to find this ironic. If you know me, you will find this ironic, okay? One of the other things I picture in my mind when I want to just stop before I go and do the next thing is I actually think about a set of traffic lights. Do you know when that's ironic, most of you? Because I'm colourblind, I can't see the colours. I've never been able to see the colours. I know that there is red, amber and green. I know that because other people have told me. I do not see that. I see green and green. But I know the sequence. And I make myself, I don't want to dash. And I literally sit there and I imagine I've arrived at the traffic lights and it's red, or for me, the top light. And I'm not, just for a moment, I'm just going to say, Lord, be with me now. And I'm not going to let myself go until the light turns green. I just use it in my mind because I need to find ways to keep me here and now, not there and then. James 4 verse 2 says, you do not have because you do not ask. Ask him then. Ask him, Lord, I need some ways to be more present in the present. I want your presence in the present. So I'm going to present, trying to make the words really work now, present myself in the present to hear your presence. I've deliberately this morning tried to not distract you with lots of other images. Just keep one. Because I remember we do in school, the TSM thing we do, everybody gets a chance to speak on the second year, and we go through with them and give them some techniques and this lady she'd been really nervous about her presentation because we asked them to use a stand or bring a PowerPoint, and all she did is she had one picture like this. And it's the best PowerPoint usage I've ever seen. Because I can remember, but that's not her picture, because I can remember exactly what her picture was, because it was so simple and so clear. It was somebody diving off a boat into deep blue sea, and she was talking about going deeper with God. Having an image in front of you that makes you focus on, what's this about? It's about going deep. It's about surrender. It's about submersion. Just a simple idea to stop you flitting off and be here. So hopefully what will happen now is when you try and remember this sermon, you will remember this image. We've only kept one image on all the time I've been speaking. Trying to fix something in our minds that allows us to be here and now, not there and then. And it is such a challenge. Almost the entirety of our society and technology is pushing us the other way. Be there, be there, be there, do this, think this, and this, be interrupted. Oh! It's so difficult now. And we need to learn to be present in the present. So do what works for you. Has somebody got another idea that I haven't suggested? Anything else that you do? Breezy balls, yeah, quite a good idea. Yeah, I've been quite similar to my fidget spinner and stuff, just to have something. Anybody else got anything? Yeah. 4-7-8 breathing exercise. Centre Parks use that as part of their advertising campaign. A poor life this is, full of care. We have no time to stand there. Yep. Can be, yep. I have that. If you haven't done that, where I'm trying to, we challenge you to say 12 o'clock. Yep. Yep. That's using timers to sort of bring you back. Bring you back. Anybody else got anything? Yep, there is the nap pause. Yeah. I mean, my kids used to have one there where if you weren't on your phone, it sort of grew trees on your phone. So was it forest or something? You put it on, but if you interact with your phone in any way, because it just slowly trees grow on it. But if you interact with your app, the trees die off. But it makes you not. So it means when you pick it up, you can see the wood for the trees. See what I did there? Yeah. Presuming we all like trees and we don't want to kill them. I actually, on one level, these last two that I've done about learning to wait and learning to be present, there's some keys there. And John's word about there's more. From here, there's more. From here, there's more. How do we know if as soon as we're there, we go then? How are you giving him chance to bring his everything, which you do, your moment, if you're already on to the next one? Present yourself in the present to meet the. And that way, we can start to push against the stream. So that when we are eye to eye with someone, actually we're saying, I am going to give you my full concentration. I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to try and stay here with you. What would it be like if we became known as a people who always have time for each other and who always have time for him? So guess what we're going to do? To shut up. And I just want you to sit and allow him to be here. And if you want a fidget spinner, I've got one in my pocket. Look at the picture. Just sit. Feel what does it like. Maybe do a breathing exercise. What does it feel like? Sometimes closing your eyes can be helpful. For me, that means my mind dashes off in 18 different ways. So I actually prefer to look at something. Just allow yourself to be present. The Lord, our simple prayer. You would teach us, whip us, kill us, to learn to be present. Present. To have more and more moments when we're here and now, not there. For us to be a people who give you chance to bring the more. Stay still long enough. Lean in and to listen. Every moment, precious. In every moment. You. Always.